Exactly. Troy Vosseller is with us. He's one of the co-founders of Gener8tor, which is the ZV VC fund, right? So talk to us about the journey to the Red River Valley.
Yeah. So Gener8tor's been around for 10 years. Kind of leading up to that, both my business partner and I, we were both lawyers. We met working on some mutual transactions together, both on the startup and the investor side. And through that, we met. We had a shared ground perspective that there just lacked a lot of efficiency for an entrepreneur to go from idea to incorporating a business, growing that business, raising venture capital, so on and so forth. So we saw an opportunity to create an accelerator program, and we wanted to do it in our hometown. So both Madison and Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the time. 10 years later, we have greatly expanded that. So today, Gener8tor, we operate some form of accelerator programming in more than 35 cities across 16 states and 3 countries. So we continue to grow that influence. A big focus, however, that we have is places outside of the major tech hubs, operating and investing in places outside of Silicon Valley, outside of New York City, outside of Boston. The reality is that about 80% of all venture capital is invested in startups in those 3 states alone: California, New York, and Massachusetts. So places like North Dakota, places like Wisconsin, where I'm from, we're fighting over this small sliver of 20%. The other 47 states are fighting over this 20%. And in our opinion, whether it's Fargo, whether it's Grand Forks, whether it's Milwaukee, whether it's, Huntsville, Alabama, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Omaha, other markets that we operate in, we are more similar to each other than we are to Silicon Valley, New York, and Boston. And yet, I think so long there's been a thrust around economic development to try to out-imitate those successful markets. We don't have to out-imitate anyone. Fargo is its own unique place, and we should embrace that, and we should find a way to invest into our own. And so that's been our ethos. That's been our mission at Gener8tor. And so how Fargo first really got on the map for us was about 7 years ago. Two of my business partners, we would do recruiting trips. So we would pull up a map and say, here's a market we've never been to. Let's just go there, introduce ourselves to the different stakeholders and entrepreneurs and maybe even investors, and see if we can meet startups and learn more about the ecosystem. And so Joe and Maggie from my team took a road trip to Fargo, and there they met Greg, who you mentioned earlier from Emerging Prairie. He was very receptive and helping take them around town, make introductions, including folks at NDSU and UND and the city and economic development groups in the state and so forth. And they came back from that trip saying, wow, there's a lot going on here, and let's try to break in there. Let's try to do something. And so we had kind of fits and starts about what could we do. And then we finally found a fit here. You mentioned the North Dakota Growth Fund, and that's what's allowing us to now be operating these accelerators. So we'll be doing annual programming in both Fargo and Grand Forks, accelerator programs. And then once a year, we'll be running that 12-week program where we're investing $100,000 into each of those 5 companies.
So are you vetting companies for 50 South Capital in essence, or
no? So they manage that fund, and that fund is investing into us and then we make those investments. So we now are the fiduciary for those $500,000 investments that we mentioned.
Nice. So let's talk about some of the maybe potential companies you're looking at. Because I was looking at your portfolio. It's all over the map. So people could basically call you up and go, hey, I've got this idea. I know you were selling T-shirts out of a dorm room. Maybe that's one of the things. What kind of things are you looking for right now to invest in?
It can be many paths, but you're absolutely correct. We are deliberately industry agnostic and business model agnostic. So we've done everything from medical devices to healthcare IT to manufacturing technology, B2B software as a service, consumer packaged goods, e-commerce companies, kind of you name it. The common thread is 2 things. One, we're always early stage. So ideally, we are the first and exclusive investor in any of the companies that we work with. That tends to be our sweet spot. So we want to go very early. Number 2, we want something that could be what we call venture backable. So loosely speaking, if the entrepreneur is successful, which is a big if, but if they're successful at overcoming the hurdles in front of them and the market conditions, and they find a receptive market, can this potentially be at least $100 million plus kind of enterprise value business? That's not saying everyone's going to be. In fact, they won't. Let's assume that off the bat. But again, if a few of them can be successful, can it grow to that level? That's really what we're looking for. So that would exclude certain categories, meaning if you were just a auto body repair shop or a beauty salon or a one-off restaurant, that would not be a fit for what we're doing. However, let me go further with that. We have invested in an auto body repair company who wanted to create an online digital customer acquisition funnel. So you put in your information online, and then they actually come to your driveway to do the auto repair, and then they franchise that out to different cities and different markets. So that's an example where it's not just a one-off auto body repair shop, but rather it's a kind of a shift, a new business model of coming to your home or business or driveway to do the auto repair kind of while you wait. So it's more convenient for you, et cetera. Mobile auto body repair.
So as people are coming to you, what kind of metrics are you looking at? What are you looking at in the business plan model to make you go, hey, this could maybe be $100 million business?
Yeah, I'll touch on a few things. So team is paramount. So who are the people running this? Do they have that unique point of view to the kind of both the problem and solution? Is there something unique about their point of distribution or how they think about the world, et cetera? Loosely speaking, we look for founders that are what I call formidable. And this is a mix of, IQ, EQ, capability, aptitude, perseverance, resilience, et cetera. I think another way to think about it is someone who gets their way in life. They kind of can punch through, right? That's the spirit of the entrepreneur and the team that we're looking for. So that's team. 2, is this a large and growing market? If you were selling something that's just so niche, there's just, even if you had 100% of the market, it still couldn't be that venture backable opportunity. Conversely, is the market so huge that even if you had a small sliver, it could be very, very big. And then lastly, what I'd say is prove to us that the dog will eat the dog food is a mantra we'll say a lot on a team. Prove that the dog will eat the dog food. And for us, that means show us your traction, meaning we see hundreds, if not thousands, of applications for these programs, and this is coming from across the country. Like I mentioned, I'm willing to believe at this point almost any idea can be good. But ideas are cheap. Ideas are free, right? It's about execution.
So I don't mean to cut you off. He's got a little amount of time. But 2 things. 1, have you invested in any unicorns yet?
Some that on paper, none that have exited yet.
All right.
Knock on wood.
Secondly, like, for example, I had a guy come to me today. He goes, hey, look, we've got probably $1 million, $2 million we want to put into a data center with Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin's down. I mean, is that something that you would see as scalable that you could put some money into?
Potentially. I think it comes down to what that founder believes. Is this a one-off operation, or do they have grand aspirations on how this can scale kind of beyond N of 1?
Nice. And then I know also, and we've got about a minute left, I'd love to have you back when you're back in town, or we can do it virtually, whatever. But I know you're looking to hire some people. What are you looking for?
We're hiring 4 people. 1, a principal of kind of the overall operation. This would be the top person here for our operation in North Dakota. 2, a managing director, someone who's going to run the day-to-day programming of our accelerator program. Think of this as like a mentor, entrepreneur in residence. And then 2 program managers. These will be assisting in our other accelerator programs, including what we call our G-Beta pre-accelerator program. So a total of 4 individuals. They can go to Gener8tor.com/careers and learn all about that.
And that's Gener8tor with an 8.
With an 8.
Yes. So Gener8tor.com/careers. House of Gucci. It's great to have you in studio, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see you back. And if you end up, getting any companies and then you need some publicity, let us know. All right.
Let's get the next unicorn here in North Dakota.
Now you're talking. I like that. That sounds absolutely perfect. So again, Troy Vosseller, check him out. It's Gener8tor.com. They're going to be coming into our community here and planting some seeds of capital, which I don't know if you remember this, but we had the president of Bank of America here in town. He was at NDSU, and you may remember Lieutenant Governor Brent Sanford stood up and he's like, look, we got a lot of great entrepreneurs here. The thing that we're always missing is the capital. So it's great to have you and 50 South in